Hi, I'm Dr. Carrie here with Reverend Fred on the couch, and we're so glad to talk with you.
Yes.
Today is 12/21/12. It is the day that marks the end of the Mayan calendar, and perhaps you have heard that there have been quite a lot of fears stirring about this day. One thing I want to share with you, perhaps you know or you don't, and that is for the past couple of years there have been so many inquiries coming to NASA, the National Aeronautic and Space Agency, asking about, is the world going to end? So many inquiries that NASA actually created a page on their website to address the issues. And they have been receiving inquiries asking things like, is the world going to end? And if so, should I kill my children and myself? It's so poignant to me when I think about those kinds of questions, especially in light of what we've experienced here in the U.S. this past week.
Yes, that's what anxiety will do for you. Will make you feel like it's going to be a doomsday. It came, and it's not so. Because, as I said before, there's an upper side to that. The upper side is simply a shift. A shift in what people expect during this time, actually.
Yes.
Actually, it's a shift. But the anxiety kind of clouds that sometimes. It clouds the expectation. But you know what's astounding is we're kind of almost pulled into the expectation by this season. Advent and Christmas kind of pulls you into expectation and hope. So even though there may be many deaths that have taken place and that we know about,
Yes.
you said very wisely that from death comes birth.
Yes. Yes.
And so even though that we're sitting in the middle of a lot of mourning, we recognize now, globally actually, because it's really global,
Yes.
that because the doomsday, I think China has that kind of thing too. So the doomsday has now given up an opportunity to recognize that the shift has taken place, that hope is still there. In the midst of, it isn't that the mourning has disappeared, it's that we're sitting on top of the mourning.
Yes. And
Oh
mourning,
my goodness.
mourning, MOURNING.
Yes.
And something that I have been thinking about a lot the last few weeks as we've been approaching 12/21/12
Yeah.
is what happened on 1/1/1000.
Yes.
These almost 200, a couple millennia ago, what happened was they were expecting that the world would end.
Yes.
And so what lots of Christians did, wanting to make sure when the world ended that they would go to heaven, they took all of their possessions to the church. And there was only the Catholic Church at the time. And they took all their possessions there. And then January 2nd, 1000 came.
Lord.
And then the days and weeks after that. And so the people who had taken their possessions to the church went to the church and said, give us our stuff back. And the church said, no. Anxiety when we think we're
goodness.
coming to doomsday.
Yes.
And that's something that can be
Yes.
global or it can be personal.
And I think it's both, actually.
There's something that when we have anxiety about different things in our lives and we feel like life as we have known it is about to end,
Yes.
it can lead us, if we are anxious enough, to hurt people, to hurt ourselves,
Absolutely.
and do all manner of things that without the anxiety or without those high levels of anxiety, we would never think to do at all.
Right. And you know what? President Obama said something that I'm sure he didn't realize he was saying. There's many dimensions to it. We are not alone.
We are not alone.
And he meant, of course, that those of us who are in one place could help other people. But also, it means that we are not alone. I have to use this word. Spiritually speaking, we are never alone. And so it helps us to feel during this Christmas time, this is the time we want to feel safe. Because anxiety creates, it's really coming from the belief that we're not safe.
Yeah.
It's unsafety that creates the anxiety. When Christmas comes, there are people, I used to work in a particular place where people actually got better. They literally got better. People who were actually emotionally ill got better during Christmas. Why? Because they flew into the global understanding of safety for Christmas. That's why some people love the snow, they love to be at home, the whole thing. It has to do with safety because we are not alone. And one day we'll talk a little further about that. But to me, that's the essence of all this that's happening about anxiety and fear and what we do to one another.
And you know, Fred, as you talk about people not feeling safe and then the anxiety that ensues from that, perhaps you have heard various recommendations that we help to, in order to keep our children safe in schools, that we equip our teachers with guns.
Yes.
That's yet another expression of the anxiety.
Exactly.
And it reminds me of
Exactly.
something that happened during the Middle Ages, and that is this. There were people who believed that cats that roamed the streets were the familiars, they were the embodiments of the spirits of witches. And so they set out, because of their anxiety about witches, they set out to kill as many cats as they could. So in the course of doing that, there was then an epidemic of rats, which then killed 1/3 of the European population. When we get anxious and rush to conclusions that we think are quick fixes for whatever we see as our doomsday, the kinds of choices we make usually lead us to even greater destruction, decimation, despair.
Anxiety is a suicidal stance.
It is.
Anxiety is a suicidal stance. When we are anxious, the only way to get rid of it, you see, is to kill it. So the personification you just talked about cats, we kill each other for the same reason.
Yes, yes.
So it's really suicidal. And you kill yourself too for the same reason. The same reason. Therefore, the only answer to that is to recognize that we are safe. That there are people around us who love us. But it's hard to see that when the anxiety is high, it's hard to see that. That's why I say, when people when they're grieving and they really feel alone, the best that you can do, the best that we need to do is to give people our presence. And that presence needs to exude love. And so Christmas is that presence. It's the presence that is a present to us presently. That's what's so great about this time. So the upside of Doomsday is Hope Day. It's expectation day. It's a day when out of the death of many different things, birth will take place. Remember, you know this.
What do I know?
Jesus was born in a manger. You know what I do with that? That's a mangy situation.
Mangy.
And so we're in a mangy situation now, where things are not as we would like. Nothing. It's not clean. It's mourning and grief and anxiety is certainly not a clean situation to be in.
Yeah.
But out of that comes life. In the midst of that comes life. And so right now, just I love, because we're this way, the street language is, because we are also so upset and so, our nose is open. That's what you used to say in the street. When your nose is open, then there's a time for you to be able to accept the fact that life is being born now, particularly because we're mourning so much.
Yes.
So I'm just loving the fact that the two things are going together. Mourning and mourning in the morning brings about gifts of hope and peace and, my Lord, love.
And so, as we sign out now, I just want to say to you, whatever situation you are going through right now, maybe it is a mangy situation, maybe it is something where you feel very alone,
Yes, yes,
maybe where you feel all hope is gone.
yes,
Perhaps you are mourning.
yes,
Know that in the midst of whatever might feel like a doomsday for you right now, that hope is born anew.
yes.
And remember, you are not alone. Bless you.
Bless you.